If you've ever worked on an IT project, you probably know the feeling, that constant firefighting, the deadlines that just keep slipping, and this general sense of, well, chaos. So today, we're going to look at a totally different way, a set of principles that can take that chaos and turn it into a smooth, predictable flow of actual value.
All right, let's kick things off with a scene that might feel a little too familiar. It's a story we see play out all the time. Good people trying to do good work, but they're just buried under constant emergencies, always feeling like they're one step behind.
You're looking at a quote from the novel The Phoenix Project. But honestly, for a lot of folks in tech, this reads less like fiction and more like a diary entry. It just nails that feeling, doesn't it? Your perfectly planned week gets completely blown up by the latest crisis. Something that, out of nowhere, is the most important thing in the universe. And what's so wild is how these things all feed into each other, creating this vicious cycle. Corporate forces an unrealistic schedule, so you take shortcuts. Those shortcuts cause bugs, which start fires. While you're busy putting out those fires, other important work gets delayed, which leads to everyone pointing fingers. It's just a downward spiral. And usually, right at the center of that storm, there's one person everyone is waiting on. That right there, that's what we call a bottleneck. And here's the thing that's so crucial to get. Your entire project, your whole system, can only move as fast as its slowest part. It doesn't matter how fast everyone else is working. If all the work has to squeeze through one single narrow point, the whole thing just grinds to a halt. To put a face to this idea, let's talk about Brent. He's a character from the Phoenix Project. Brent is the guy. He's the hero, he knows everything, he can fix anything, and because of that, nothing significant gets done without him. He is simultaneously the company's greatest asset and its single biggest roadblock to making progress. Think about it. Every organization has a Brent, right? So how in the world do you break out of this cycle? Well, it takes a fundamental shift in how you see things. This is where the philosophy of lean thinking comes in. It gives us a completely new lens to look at and manage our work. Okay, so the main idea behind lean, it's actually pretty simple, but it changes everything. Stop focusing on just being busy and start focusing on delivering value. It forces us to ask a really tough question about every single task we do. Is this actually creating value for our customer, or is it just waste? And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, in a factory, waste is obvious. It's a pile of broken parts on the floor. But in software and IT, waste is often invisible. It's like a ghost in the machine. So what are we even looking for? Well, lean gives us a vocabulary to start spotting this invisible waste. Take overproduction. That's building that awesome feature that, well, nobody actually uses. Waiting is your code just sitting around for weeks waiting for someone to test it. Inventory is all that work that's 90% done but isn't actually in the hands of users. And motion, or task switching, that's the whiplash you get from jumping between 5 different top priority projects all at once. And this is why hunting down that waste is so important. An extra feature nobody wanted isn't free. That code has to be maintained, it has to be tested, and new people have to learn it for years and years to come. The waste we create today becomes the technical debt and the massive headache we're stuck with tomorrow. So if step 1 is just learning to see the waste, step 2 is making it totally impossible to ignore. Because you can't fix what you can't see, right? This brings us to the first really practical application of lean, making all the work visible. The whole idea is to create what are sometimes called information radiators. Basically, they're just simple public displays that broadcast the status of all the work to everyone, all the time. All of a sudden, you don't need a million status meetings or email chains. The state of the project is just there for the whole team to see. The most famous example of this is a Kanban board. And its real power is how simple it is. You just map out your process into columns: to do, in progress, testing, done, and you move little cards from left to right. But here's where the magic really happens. You add a simple rule, like a work in progress limit. You decide the team can only have, say, 3 things in progress at any one time. That forces you to finish work before you start new work. And just like that, it exposes your bottlenecks instantly. And this is why it's so powerful. You know, when you see a huge stack of cards jammed in the testing column, you don't need a manager to write a 5-page report to figure out where the problem is. It's literally staring you in the face. You've made the problem visible, and now the team can actually swarm on it and solve it. Okay, so once you can see your work, the next big idea is to speed up the flow. But listen, this isn't about typing faster or working longer hours. It's about learning faster. And that brings us to the second key practice in Lean, shrinking your feedback loops. Just look at this comparison. It says it all. With a traditional year-long project, you get exactly zero feedback from a real user until the very end. And by then, it's usually way too late to make any meaningful changes. But if you break that same project into 12 smaller monthly cycles, you've just created 11 chances to learn and adjust your plan. You're swapping one massive risky bet for a bunch of smaller, way safer experiments. And that's the key here. These short cycles, they're not just about going fast. They're about killing risk. Each little cycle is an experiment. You build a small thing, you test your assumptions against reality, and you use what you just learned to make the next thing you build even better.
And this really drives the point home. 6 months into a big traditional project, what do you have? You have a whole lot of half-finished stuff, but zero usable software. But 6 months into an agile or lean project, you have half the features, 100% done, already out there delivering value to your customers. You've created a real asset.
All right, let's pull all these threads together because they all point to this one huge shift in how we think about work. It's really about moving away from an old industrial age way of managing things to one that's actually built for the complex world of technology. This idea comes from a book called Critical Chain. In what's called the cost world, everybody's obsessed with making sure their little piece of the puzzle is running at 100% efficiency, but that actually hurts the overall project. In the throughput world, we realize that's a trap. We get that only one thing matters: the speed and efficiency of the entire system from start to finish. And really, that's the bottom line. It's time to stop micromanaging every little task and worrying about keeping everyone busy. Instead, we need to start focusing on managing and protecting the entire flow of value, from the very first idea all the way to the customer. So, I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. Look at your own work, your own team, through this lean lens. What's the single biggest source of waste you see? Is it all the task switching? Is it waiting around for approvals? Or maybe it's building features that nobody really needs? Finding that one thing, that's your first step. That's how you start turning all that chaos into flow.